Welcome to Education Today on Hill Country Network. I'm your host, Chuck Garrett, and today it's my pleasure to have with me Mr. Bill Mattox, the General Manager of New Albany Light, Gas, and Water. Welcome, Mr. Mattox.
Great. Thanks, Dr.
I
Garrett.
appreciate you being here with us today.
Thank you. My pleasure to be here as well.
Well, let's get right to it. Why don't we start with just a little bit about your educational background, and we'll work on into how you came to become the General Manager of New Albany Light, Gas, and Water.
Sure. Well, I'm a native of Myrtle, Mississippi. I graduated from Myrtle High School, then I went to Mississippi State and got an engineering degree. It was way back in 1986.
Okay.
As soon as I graduated, I went to work at Memphis Light, Gas, and Water for their utility there. While I was there, I was able to get a master's in business administration.
Yes, sir.
And worked in Memphis for around 20 years, to kind of sort of get my start in things.
Now, did you live in Memphis, or did you commute most of that time?
Well, it was a mix of both, Dr.
Okay.
Garrett. We lived in Memphis for about the first 10 years, and when our wife and I, when we had our daughter was ready to go to school, we wanted her to go to school here in New Albany, and so we moved back to New Albany, and I drove for about 10 years.
That's a heck of a commute.
It is. It's a long way.
What is it, about an hour and 15 minutes? Maybe?
Our office was in the middle of downtown, so it was about an hour and a half to get to the office.
So you did that for 20 years?
Yes, sir.
And what was your role in Memphis?
I had several different roles up there, which it was a great training ground for the job I have now, because I got to do a lot of different things. I got to work with each one of the systems, their gas, water, and electric system. I worked a lot with their computer technology. I worked with strategic planning. I worked in their engineering sections, and then in their in their customer service area was sort of my last stint there.
All right. So after 20 years there, kind of pick me up now.
Right. Then I took a job in San Antonio, Texas. Went to work for the city of San Antonio. It was in a regulatory role for the utilities there. I was their assistant director of public utilities. It was a very interesting job. They have a large electric and gas utility and a large water and wastewater utility, and we served as regulators through the city with those groups. So again, I really got to get a lot of experience on the financial side, and they had a lot of resources, and did a lot of interesting projects. So just a really good educational time for me, and it was a nice city to live in as well.
I hear it's kind of a city that's on the move.
It is. I tell people it's not Myrtle, but it's okay. It is. It's a very nice town.
And then
about that time, Mr. Harold Smith, who had been the manager at New Albany Light, Gas, and Water, I guess for over 35 years, decided to retire. And fortunately, the mayor and alderman, a couple of them contacted me to see if I would be interested in coming home. And it was a good time. Our daughter was getting ready, she was finishing high school in San Antonio and getting ready to go to school at Ole Miss. So we hated to see her be that far away from us. It was a real good time for us to come home. And I was anxious for the opportunity to be here.
Well, I know you've done a wonderful job since you've been here. One of the things that you've been particularly good at is communicating with the community. I know when we have outages and that kind of thing, I see you on Facebook. Can you kind of give me a little information about how that came about and what you're doing? Sure.
And again, we don't have an official Facebook page with New Albany Light, Gas, and Water. I really kind of do it informally through my own page. I think if we had the official page, then I have to have somebody keep it up all the time. So I think when it's just through me, people may cut me a little more slack if I don't update, every time something happens. But what I like to try to do when we do have a big electric outage or something with our water system that affects a lot of people, I do try to get information out, because I can't make the electricity come on any faster or make things clear up any quicker. But if people know that we're working on it and they kind of have an idea of when things are going to be resolved, they're just a lot more tolerant. They seem to accept things a lot better when they know we're working on it. We know it's a problem, and they kind of have an idea of when it's going to be resolved.
Well, and you've always been very personable, and I think everybody has a high degree of trust for what you say and do. So they know that a man who represents them is out there on their behalf, and I think that's really important.
I appreciate that, and that's certainly what we try to do, because I know when the lights go out at my house, you can take it for about an hour or maybe 2 hours, and then everybody starts to get aggravated. So I definitely understand it, because again, I'm a customer as well.
Yes, sir.
So I understand how people react to that, and we do try to be aware of it, and again, get as much information out as we can when we can.
Well, you mentioned the systems that you had experience with in Memphis and San Antonio. And I guess we got 4 systems that are generally under the auspices of light, gas, and water.
Yes, sir. Here in New Albany, we have an electric system, a gas system, a water system, then of course a sewer system. And it's a little unusual in Mississippi for a city to have all 4 utilities. I think there are only maybe 3 or 4 in the state that have all 4, and we actually have more customers than any other city when you add them all together. Most cities don't have an electric system. A lot of areas a co-op serves them or a private utility. So we're really blessed to actually have this electric system because it does, the way TVA governs, they're our regulator on the electric system. And we are able to, I guess, give the city some money, a payment in lieu of taxes. So it is a revenue stream for the city.
Okay.
We're able to get revenue from the electric system and gas system. And so it really helps offset property taxes. So we're really fortunate to have those revenue streams for the city.
Well, and you talked about revenue streams, so let me ask this. How is NALG&W funded? Is it entirely on?
Yes, it's entirely through our customers through the utility bills.
Okay.
We don't have, a lot of people say, well, that's that tax money, but New Albany Light, Gas, and Water does not get any tax money. That all goes straight to the city general fund, or the county or the school systems. But we do not get any tax money. It all comes through the bills that we send out.
So it's completely self-supported, and if anything, you actually put a little bit of money back into the budget.
Yes, we actually help to keep the taxes lower.
Right.
By the revenue streams we provide back to the city.
Great. Well, why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about the electric system?
And again, we're a little unique for our municipal electric system. Most of the municipal systems in Mississippi only serve in the city limit areas, and really the city limit areas that were back in the 50s. That's when all the areas were divided up by the Public Service Commission. But we're able to serve an area really from Potts County all the way to Sherman and then up to Blue Mountain.
So that's how many counties?
We're in 4 different counties.
4 different
right,
counties.
Marshall, Benton, Union, and Tippah County.
And how many customers does that serve?
We have about 11,000 electric customers. So again, a pretty good sized municipal system for the state, and it's just unique that we're able to serve outside the city limits. So again, that's a good thing for the city, because again, it helps to provide a good revenue stream for the city.
I know you've got a capital project in the electrical system.
Yes, sir.
Underway or in the plans. Could you tell us about that?
I sure can, Dr. Garrett. We have one in the works. We're trying to get it finish at the planning stages on it this year, and hopefully next year we'll kick it off. We've got 3 main things in the project. One, we have a substation across from New Albany High School, and it's actually, we have 6 substations on our system, and this is the oldest substation and probably serves the biggest load, the biggest number of residential customers. It is aging and it's ready to be significantly upgraded. We're actually looking to relocate it kind of in the same area but on a different piece of property. And the relocation plans is actually going to improve our reliability to the city.
Okay.
The way the substation is set up now, it's an older design, and it's really hard for us to, I guess, get all of our circuit breakers on the system synchronized with that substation. So we tend to have a few more outages, really even in the downtown area, than we'd like, just because the older equipment, it's not as sophisticated as the new stuff, and we just
less reliable.
Less reliable, and you can't fine tune it like you can the newer equipment.
Okay.
So that's about a $3 million part of this project. The total project is going to be about $9 million.
Right.
So rebuilding this substation is going to be about $3 million. Then we'd like to go to automated meters on our electric system. That's something that's been out there for a long time, and a lot of utilities in the area, the co-ops and others, have already moved to that technology. We have been a little slow to adopt it, and Dr. Garrett, I tell folks, I don't want to be the first one to put it out there, because there's a lot of lessons to learn when you go first.
That's right, yeah.
But I don't want to be the last one either.
Right.
So we think the time now, the technology has matured, and since we are a multi-service utility with electric, gas, water, and sewer, we're kind of a little different animal for some of the vendors. So we've let some other people kind of learn those lessons for us. But now we're ready to move with the electric meters. That's going to be a part of the project, and that's going to be probably $3 to $4 million to change out all the electric meters to automated meters. And there's actually quite a bit of benefit. It's nice, they're newer meters, and we can get real-time reads, but there's actually benefits we can start providing to our customers by going to that system. We can now, when we get the automated meters, we can have portals on your smartphone, so you can log on and look at your energy usage.
Really?
For a day. I don't know if it'll be quite real time, but you can see like the previous hour, the amount of electricity you use. You can check your bill, and it'll help us with outages. So each one of those meter points that show up on the system, we'll know when the electricity's on or off, at a particular house. When it goes out in an area, we'll get an alarm and we'll be able to tell where the electricity's off, so we don't have to rely so much on people calling us.
There you go.
Right. Right now, unless you call us, we don't know the electricity is off in most cases.
Well, I know sometimes when I have an outage, I look outside to see if everybody else is off,
Right.
and then I go, well, if everybody else is off, they probably already know.
Right. And a lot of times we don't. If it is a small area, maybe there's just 5 or 6 people off, people don't always call. They kind of wait and think their neighbor has. So we do encourage people to call right now. But when we go to the automated meter, just going to give them the ability, you can report it through your phone, and you'll be able to see, the status of really how many outages we have on the system. That's probably that may not be the first thing we have when we roll it out, but that gives us the ability to add that type of functionality to our customers.
Does that mean even if you're out of town, you would be able to kind of monitor what's
Right,
going
right.
on if you needed
Yes,
to?
sir. Again, you could pull up the portal and see, again, check to see how much electricity you used at the house that day, and then there would be a way to see, again, if lights were out, or if your meter was on or off, you'd be able to tell, basically from an outage reporting map.
Well, that sounded like about 6 or 7 million so far.
Right.
Okay, how
So,
we're
right.
handling the other?
Right, so the other 3 million, we want to do some circuit improvements. And really what we're targeting, some of the central business district here in New Albany, we want to really have a reliable system. The way downtown New Albany is growing with the restaurants and the events we have at night.
Right.
Anytime the electricity goes off, like on a Friday night at 6 o'clock, that's a really bad thing for
Really?
downtown
Yes, sir.
people.
Yes,
All
sir.
the restaurants are full, and you just don't want that happening. And the way our circuits are set up right now, they go through a lot of neighborhoods and areas. We have a lot of trees in New Albany. We're blessed with the trees and beautiful streets, but there are a lot of squirrels that live in those trees and a lot of limbs that can fall on the line. So a lot of times you can have a limb fall on the north side of town or south side of town, and it'll take the electricity out in the middle of town. So what we're trying to do is build some circuits that are more dedicated to the central business district.
Okay.
That would improve really from on Bankhead Street, Main Street, down Carter Avenue, or really kind of even around Park Plaza to the Lowe's and Walmart area.
Okay, a lot of the busiest places.
Yes, a lot of the busiest places. Because even if you have residential outages, again, you don't want that either, but if people can go somewhere and shop or get something to eat, that does give them some options.
And I don't know if it would help, but you might remember, I think it was a year ago, that the lights went out in the gym when they were
Right.
having graduation in there.
Yes, yes.
And I don't know if it would help that kind of thing or not, but a certain amount of this, you just have to, it's just going to happen.
Right, and so I think that particular night it was a tree that fell pretty close
Was
to
it?
the school, a tree limb, and I don't know if we could have prevented that. But the smaller we were able to make the circuits, it's just easier for our crews to find the fault and fix it. So
Okay.
even where the middle school gym is, that would be on a more isolated circuit,
Okay.
and it would help in the restoration time.
$9 million. Where's that money coming from?
Those will likely be revenue bonds that we will
Okay.
issue. We're still going through the financial advising part of that. But anytime a city entity has to have debt, you have to issue some type of a bond. And if it's a revenue bond, it does not require like a formal election. But the city board, the alderman, and the mayor, they can agree to pledge the revenue of the utility. That's basically the collateral for the loan.
And the last time I knew about it, New Albany had a good bond rating.
Yes, we have very good bond ratings on all the systems.
Okay. Well, very good. Let's get into the gas system. How about give us a little, unless you have anything else to add on electrical?
No, sir, I think those are the main points. But again, what we'd really like to do, we want to improve reliability because we don't like those lights to go out any more than our customers do. And if we can get this substation upgraded and improve the circuits, it'll really help around New Albany. And we do serve, again, large areas from Potts Camp to Sherman to Blue Mountain. But we have, actually our substations in the county are a lot more up to date than the one that serves the city. So we've really done some work in those expansion areas over time.
Right.
And we're kind of circling back around to do some work in the city now.
Okay.
Right.
Well, very good. About the gas system then, tell us a little.
Yes, we actually have a fairly large gas system for municipal in Mississippi. We actually have the third largest municipal gas system in the state. We serve about 6,500.
Third largest in the state?
In the state, yes,
Go
sir.
ahead.
We serve about 6,500 customers. And we recently, we've worked on this project for over 5 years trying to expand our system in the Marshall County area. Again, much like the electric system, we serve several different counties with our gas system. And in that particular area, Potts Camp to Lake Center, it's a low pressure. We don't have much gas pressure in that area. So we've needed for a long time to improve the system. And we're able to get a grant through one of the community development block grants, a $600,000 grant, to help us expand our system really from Potts Camp back around to Cornersville. And you may say, well, that sounds like that's in the middle of nowhere, but a lot of people live out there, and that gives us a western loop that ties our system back in from West New Albany all the way back around to Potts Camp. So it gives circle feed back to the city, so it really improves reliability for the entire western half of our system. And then it locks in a big customer base out there for us, so over the years we can continue to expand the system and continue to grow the system. Because as long as you're growing your system and you're adding new customers, you can help keep your fixed costs down, and long term, it helps keep rates down for everybody. So it's a good project for us. We're probably going to add, we're adding the customers in Marshall County, and then we have a pretty significant expansion in Union County that will follow. We've got several areas that we've been needing to expand in for years.
Now, in Union County, are you going to go to places that are currently being served by Pontotoc, or are you going to go to places that aren't being served?
There will be unserved areas. Again, much like the electric system, many years ago the boundaries were drawn up for who serves which gas areas, and it's confusing because just here in New Albany, we don't serve all the city limits of New Albany for gas or electric either. Pontotoc serves a large, right.
I get Pontotoc gas.
Right, and Pontotoc
actually, I was asking you.
Right, they take their gas feed from, well, if you know where Hell Creek is on the west side of New Albany, Pontotoc has a large part of their gas that flows from there going to the Pontotoc city. But so anyway, that happened years ago, and there's no undoing that. But the areas we're looking to expand in are the areas that are not served currently.
And even with that, it's still the third largest system in the state?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So again, we hope to add about 500 customers with this expansion, then just continue to grow because we've opened up new areas, and people are really asking for natural gas. Of course, it's a clean energy source, and it's efficient. And actually, if you have your gas appliances, they're typically cheaper to operate than the electric appliances. So most people building homes want natural gas to their home.
Okay. And that, anything else with the gas system?
I think that's sort of the high spots for the gas system. Again, the city is fortunate to have a gas system because it's a revenue stream back for the city.
Right.
And again, you just don't find very many cities that actually have an electric and gas system because those are, you don't want to use the term money maker, but it does provide revenue for the city. And when you look at our rates compared to other cities, our rates are average to low for municipal, so we're able to provide the service and create revenue, and I think provide good value for the customers as well.
Okay. Well, I guess the third system would be wastewater.
Yes, sir. That's.
And I'm not even sure how to define wastewater, although I got a feeling if I did define it, I probably wouldn't be happy with it. How would you define wastewater?
Right. Well, that's basically our sewer system.
Okay.
And it's comprised basically of two parts. We have a collection system, and that takes the wastewater from the individual homes and goes through a series of manholes and pump stations to get to our treatment plant. So the wastewater treatment plant's the second part of that. Currently it's located off Chickasaw Drive, kind of where the close to our new park area, where the new soccer fields and the tennis courts.
All right.
And it's been located there for probably 25 to 30 years. When the wastewater plant was out there, that was just open fields and pastures and nothing around it, and it was a great spot for it to be in. We built the new plant out there. I think the current plant, probably 25 years ago when that plant was built. Very nice plant. It's been well maintained and it served us well, but it's aging. The concrete and steel needs to be redone. So there's a lot of money that's got to be spent on the plant. And the other thing about wastewater that people don't really, that's of all the services we provide, wastewater is one that I think people you take it for granted, but it's the one that has the most regulation on it, and that's the one that the EPA, the state agencies, and the federal agencies, they continue to, I guess, be more strict on how we process the wastewater, because we take it to this wastewater treatment plant, it's processed, and then it has to meet certain requirements, then it goes back in the Tallahatchie River. But it has to be really, really clean for it to go back in the river. And again, they test that continually, to make sure that we're meeting the requirements on it. And we have to renew our wastewater treatment permit every 5 years.
Okay.
And every time we renew the permit, there are more regulations added to us as far as what we can actually output, the plant into the river. And the plant we have right now will just not meet some of the requirements that are coming down, that are going to be coming down on us in the next 4 or 5 years. So our options are either we go out and refurbish the plant where it sits, and in order to meet some of the new requirements we anticipate, it's going to take more room. There's not a lot of room out there for us to expand in.
Right.
We'd end up cutting capacity in order to meet the requirement. So we didn't think that was a very good option. Again, and now that plant, with the way things have grown up, is kind of in the middle of town. So what the board has decided to do is relocate it out of town in an area about 1.5 miles to the north, up the Tallahatchie River, get it away from town. We've got a 90-acre tract of land, so there's plenty of room to expand. And with the new technology, we can meet all the requirements that the state and federal government. Right.
That'd be great.
And again, people don't think about that a lot. You kind of take it for granted, but it is something that if the city doesn't address it and fix it, then the other agencies come in and they give you more or less a written order and tell you this is what you have to do and this is how you're going to have to fix it. And they don't care where the money comes from.
Well, and the last thing you want, you said the wastewater, nobody thinks about it much. If they notice it,
right,
it's not a good thing.
That's exactly right. That's right, Dr. Garrett. If it's in the street or in their yard, that's when you notice it. And
Okay.
that's not a good thing.
This is not good. Yeah.
Right.
I
Yes,
think
sir.
I'll call Bill.
Yes, sir. But if they do see that, please call us. Please call us because we do want to address it.
Now, from what I understand, this is pretty much underway and has a fairly short timeline. I mean, you're thinking in the next year or two that will be done?
Yes, sir, the project's been approved. We got a USDA. We actually got a pretty significant grant on this project as well. It's about a $14 million project. We got over a $6 million grant, and it's going to be close to an $8 million loan we'll have to pay back. But we got over half the plant paid for. So again,
Through the grant?
Yes,
So
sir, through the grant.
Half of it's basically grant, which
Yes.
you don't have to pay back.
Right, right. And part of the project as well, we're going to upgrade some of our collection system.
Okay.
And something we get asked about a lot, and if Ms. Gail Rutledge sees this program, she'll be happy to hear this. There's a pipe across the river when you go across the Tallahatchie River Bridge. I guess it's to the south, if you've ever noticed that pipe, and it's kind of an eyesore, and people have asked, what can we do to get that pipe out of the river? Well, that's a sewer pipe that carries a lot of the flow from the west side of town back over to our lift station, and it's kind of an odd setup. Then it gets pumped right back under the river to the plant, but that's how it was set up many years ago. So part of this project is going to divert the wastewater on the west side straight to the plant, so that pipe can come out of the river, and I think that'll make I think out of the whole project, that'll make people probably the happiest.
They'll see that.
Right, the whole 14 million, that'll be the one that people appreciate the most.
Okay. And that brings us to the fourth system, which is the water system.
Yes, sir.
Why don't you just go ahead and start telling us?
Right,
about it?
and the water system, that's kind of been the lightning rod for us. I've been here for 9 years, and that's the one that seems to get the most attention, and people are very passionate about it, which I am as well. We draw most of our water from the Utah McShands aquifer. It's a very deep aquifer. We have our wells over 1,000 feet deep, and the aquifer expands from over the Mississippi Delta over into Alabama. So it's a huge aquifer, and a lot of towns in this area get their water from it. It is a good water source, but it's not perfect. It has elevated levels of iron and manganese in this area. And again, it's not a safety or health concern, but it can be a nuisance for a system. For many years, the water was just pumped straight out of the ground into the pipes into the homes, and over time that the iron and manganese will cling to the inside of the pipes, the distribution system, and it has kind of a reddish brown kind of coating on the inside of the pipes. And anytime there's a disturbance on the system, if there's a leak that has to be repaired, or if a fire hydrant's opened up and the flow in the system changes, it'll break a lot of that loose on the pipes, and that's how we get the dirty water, the brown water. So something that was started even before I got here, we started adding phosphates to the water. And that's supposed to sequester the iron and manganese and keep it from sticking to the pipes. It's supposed to make it stay in the water so it doesn't have a significant buildup on the pipes. So that's something that just takes a long time to do. So we keep tweaking our phosphates to make sure that we, minimize the buildup on the pipes. So that does help, but we still, again, over the years, over the 9 years, we have had quite a few episodes of dirty water around town. And in the last couple of years, we really, changed our focus on how we treat the water when it comes out of the ground and how we operate our system. For a long time, we were doing some real aggressive flushing on the system, trying to break the buildup out of the pipes and flush it out. And I think that helped to a certain degree. And we're at the point now where we're really trying to minimize the aggressive flushing. We've upped the amount of phosphates we put in the pipes, again, to keep it from
Prevent the problem.
yeah, to prevent the problem. And we're really paying a lot of attention to the amount of chlorine in the water and the water flow in certain areas. And that is really, in the last year and a half, our episodes of dirty water have gone way down. Again, it's not perfect, and we still have some, but we've not had nearly as many in the last year and a half or 2 years as we did the first 6 or 7.
I don't think we've experienced it as much at our house.
Yes, sir.
And so it has seemed better to me anyway.
Yes, sir. And I say there is still the chance for it there, because all the the buildup is still in the pipes. And again, it's not for everyday operation. It's not a safety or health concern. And when we do have the brown water, I would not suggest drinking it. I don't drink it.
It doesn't look palatable.
No. When it settles down, when the sediments kind of goes down to the bottom of glass, it's probably okay. But when we do have the disturbed water, we do ask that folks call our office. That number is 534-1041. We have people that are on call 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And if we have dirty water, we need to know where it is. And then we'll go and we'll start trying to open up fire hydrants and flush the water out. And then our guys also do a root cause analysis, trying to find out, well, why is the water dirty in this area? Was there something wrong with the treatment? Did somebody open a fire hydrant? Is there a big leak? And so, we try to start tracking that down. If it's something that we can do from an operational standpoint, then we put that on a, like a daily log or list for us. So we start addressing that so we don't get that complaint anymore.
So basically, if the water flow remains constant and normal, you don't really see this kind of thing.
For the most part, it'd be very rare to have a disturbance.
So when you see that, there's probably been some kind of disturbance,
yes, sir,
or interruption, or something that's caused.
Something out of the ordinary has happened to cause it.
Okay. Just a few things about what you were talking about, drinking the water and all that kind of thing. So if a person's washing their clothes, probably a bad idea.
Probably a bad idea right there, because there is iron in that, and the stores sell iron out and those kind of things you can put in there, and usually it will get the clothes pretty clean. But a lot of times you'll be in mid, in mid process for the wash, and if you get the dirty water, that's
might want to do it again.
Right,
Okay.
yeah. Wait and let it clear up and try it again.
And then probably avoid drinking it.
Right.
Showers, baths, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, they'll probably be okay for that.
Other than not
right.
looking like pretty bath water, it's probably fine to use.
Yes, sir, it is. The Mississippi Health Department, they test our water. We send samples off every month,
yes,
and it goes through extensive testing to make sure our water's safe. And we publish a report every year, the results of their findings. And anytime there's something out of the ordinary, the health department gets us to address that. Fortunately, we've not had any issues with our testing.
Well, and I rarely hear that. I mean, when's the last time we had to boil water?
We have not had one during my time here, and those are
so that's
somewhat
8 or 9 years.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And that is left up to the system operator to make that declaration. But we've really not had, we've not had any bad test results from the state that would cause us to have a boil water notice.
So when you talked about what's in the water,
Yes, sir.
Was that kind of a way of saying that we have hard water? Or do we have soft? People say hard water, soft water. I'm not sure I understand all that.
Right. I think our water's pretty close to neutral, Dr. Garrett.
Okay.
If I can, if I had to, I guess, put one tag on it versus the other.
All right.
I don't really know that it'd be classified as particularly hard or particularly soft.
Well, you and I have talked about it before, so I'll ask one more question. I know when I was in the school district, we were very interested in the water. And matter of fact, anybody who wanted to test it, we volunteered to be a test site,
Mm-hmm.
whether it was statewide, citywide, or wherever. And but we talked a little bit before about the fact that there is a little bit of arsenic in almost all the drinking water nationwide.
Yes, sir. There
Can
is.
you describe how? Because when I hear arsenic, the first time I heard that, it kind of raised my anxiety a little bit.
Yes, sir.
But then I studied it some, and I began to understand it a little. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yes, I can somewhat, Dr. Garrett. There are, I guess, a lot of naturally occurring elements that show up in water systems all across the country. And in a particular water source, we have the Utah-McShannon's aquifer. There are traces of arsenic in that. But that is something that the state monitors. And again, most systems in the state are going to have, some level in there. They're very low, very minute levels, so it's nothing to be alarmed about. But it is something they monitor every year. And then occasionally, every couple of years, they ask us to do real specific tests for certain elements in the water. I don't remember an arsenic test recently, but they do lead and copper, and they've done some for, I guess, radioactive type issues that they again, will do real specific tests for every 2 to 5 years. And I would imagine arsenic is one that they will do a specific test for at some point, but it's really not been an issue for our system.
In a while.
Right, very, very low levels.
Okay.
None that would be a health or safety risk, but it would be similar to what every other water system in the country would have.
We're about out of time. Is there anything you'd like to add to anything we've talked about any of the systems or the job in general, the light, gas, and water, or just anything you'd like to talk about?
No, not really. I think this has been a good overview for the systems. Again, I do want people to know that we're not perfect. The lights are going to go off sometimes, and we probably will have some dirty water here and there, and occasionally there'll be some high bills that will go out. But we do want to work with folks on that when they have concerns. You can call our office at 534-1041. We've got a lot of good folks there that are happy to help you. Again, if you have a high utility bill that you think something's just not right, we have folks that can come out to your house, and kind of look to see what's wrong. We've had some just recently. They had really high electric bills. Unfortunately, they had a heat pump in their home, and their heat strips for some reason were stuck on, and their air conditioner was running as well. So it was like it was kind of double dipping, and they got some high bills. But we were able to help them find that, and of course we can't fix it for them, but we're glad to try to help find the problem and point them in the right direction, because again, we don't want the bills to be any higher than they have to be. Of course, it's revenue for us, but I know it's hard for people to pay it, when they get the really high bills. And if there's anything we can do to help advise people, so they can make better energy choices, or make some improvements in their home, we certainly don't mind trying to offer those suggestions.
Well, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate the way you approach your job, honesty, integrity, very open, very willing to, talk to the public and be involved with different kinds of questions. So we really appreciate that. And if there's nothing else, I appreciate you coming.
Great, thank you for having me.
And so for Bill Mattox, this is Chuck Garrett and Hill Country Network saying thanks for joining us.